innovation assets, I mean, I suppose in the most basic sense, it's the kit that you have for your product development. So I think, so depending on the product, lab scale kit might be enough for invention. But I think most people understand that just because a process works in a lab and a benchtop, that doesn't mean that it's going to translate easily to something at an industrial scale. And we work with several companies who have demonstrated something at lab scale, but are then unsure about how to take that next step towards an industrially relevant process. And that's somewhere that Scout can offer a bit of support and guidance. So, when it comes to scale up, you need to start thinking about what additional assets do you require, what additional bits of kit do you require? It might be access to further assets for things like testing and analysis. And I suppose that goes on to things like validation and verification. That can require additional assets as well. You need to be able to test and assess your products to provide sufficient quality assurance, and not only from the perspective of ensuring that your processes are running optimally, but also from a compliance perspective in relation to safety and efficacy. So, I mean, we've worked with several companies where the required analytical equipment is actually the most significant cost to the translation into manufacturing. And it's important to bear that in mind when putting together a plan for commercialization.
Yeah, yes, it is. You're right. I mean, some of the companies we've worked for it's really quite an exciting stage because they're just at the start of the scale-up process, and it's where we bring the experience and the expertise around us from our partner organisations as well, to make sure that when they're thinking about the scale-up process, they're getting all the right bits in place to actually take things forward to the market.
Avril, an aspect of innovation and development that I think often gets kind of left to the wayside a bit is supply chain. I think that's something that's really essential to product development and something that is important to be thinking about from an early stage of development. So what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, it is. You're right. We have there's a danger when you're just starting out that you're only needing to get small quantities of something from your suppliers, of your raw materials. So you'll probably just keep going to the same people that you've got a relationship with. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you may be being overpriced because you're only buying a small amount. So it might be worth having a conversation with them that says, if we guarantee to buy X amount over the year, would you give us a more reasonable price? And if they can't do that, then you need to be able to factor in the costs of that higher price for raw materials. As you move on, building strong links with your customers so that you get a better idea of how much materials you're going to need in order to, so you're not undersupplying or oversupplying, you actually get the right amounts, a better feel for that just through having the conversations, and also with the people that supply your suppliers. So look at where you are in the supply chain, because it's about aligning all of those individual factors from the raw materials through to the guys that are going to drive the vans to deliver it. It's how do you make sure you've got all those bits in place. And for a number of companies, it's worth looking at sort of contract manufacturing organizations, but you still need to know what you're asking for and make sure if it has to be GMP that it is going to be done properly. You just need to be aware of all of these things. It's where the other factors come into play as well. It's about the experience and the technical skills that you need. But yeah, the supply chain is something where you can achieve some costs, but you don't want to cut corners.
Yeah, I totally agree, and especially to your point about building strong links. In fact, I've got an anecdote there. As a company I worked for before, a medical device company, and we needed small volumes of plastic for injection molding of parts for a medical device that was in development. But we needed kilograms, and it was sold by the ton. So actually, our supplier managed to introduce us to another one of their customers who used exactly the same stuff, and they sold us a few kilograms of the multiple tons that they were buying. So I think, yeah, to your point about building strong links, that is so essential to ensuring a quality supply chain.